Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry we're late again. We were just waiting for one more board member to arrive. Today is April 11th. It is 6:11, and we're at the new Nashua North Boardroom. And tonight, we're going to have our budget hearing. And so, I would like to ask people in the audience, but there is nobody, anybody who's in favor of the budget to come up and speak, but there's no one. And anybody who opposes the budget to come up and speak, but there's no one. So I guess we're just going to close the public hearing and open it up for discussion with the board members. So does anybody on the board have any questions regarding the budget? Ms. Raymond?
I actually don't have a question. I missed last week, but I watched it on YouTube, so big thanks to Jimmy and the team for making sure that that was up there. This year, the budget was a little bit different than we've seen in previous years, and I found it very concise and streamlined. I felt like all of my questions were still answered during the process, which I really appreciated. So that's all. I just wanted to say kudos to Dr. Andrade and Mr. Donovan. You've shaken it up, and I think you did it in a good way. And I feel like we still have the clarity that we wanted about all of the line items in the budget without stretching it out over 2 months. So I thought that was great.
Can I just interrupt and do roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just wanted to get going because we were late.
That's my fault, Jeff.
Sorry.
Ms. Johnson?
Present.
Ms. Darling is not here. Ms. Raymond?
Here.
Mr. Claffey?
Here.
Ms. Brown is not here yet. She may be here late. Ms. Oden?
Here.
I'm here. Ms. Bishop?
Here.
And Ms. Giglio is not here. Okay, so thanks.
Yeah, I just kind of got caught, and we've got to get going here.
I think we were excited.
I know that. I mean, it's, I think it's kind of sad that nobody's here that wants to talk about the budget, and then yet people will complain about how high the budget is and throughout the city. I just have a couple of questions. I raised some questions last week with the enrollment that's down again, yet our costs are going up. And we all know that a lot of the costs are going up because it has to do with employment and, the benefits and the salaries. And I don't want anybody to take it the wrong way, because people tend to take things the wrong way. I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm just saying that this is a lot of reasons why our costs go up. And we have a lot of deferred maintenance. It's about, $14 million that we just can't seem to get done because we have other obstacles in the way a lot of times. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, this was from November 29 of 2022, about New Hampshire school enrollment drops again, continuing a 20-year decline. And we've said about this, it's happening. We know it's going to continue. And yet, people say all the time to me, the costs keep rising. And I had words with the assessing office because I wanted to know about the tax exempt for our seniors. And, when you start really looking at what the seniors don't get on the exempt, because you've got to be in this window, you have to say to yourself, how can they afford the budget? What's going to happen this year again? Because if one department is getting 3%, then they're probably all getting 3%, and what's the percentage of the budget's going to have to go up to make the costs for what we spend in the city? So I'm probably going to be the Lone Ranger here, because I'm not going to support this budget. With that said, would somebody like to make a motion to accept the budget?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Oden.
Okay, all those in...
Wait, Mr. Donovan's got to say.
Okay.
If the motion could be to approve the budget, the fiscal year 24 proposed budget of $125,430,149, a 3.01% increase over last year, that would be great.
Thank you for putting that in there, because I didn't have it written down on any cheat sheet here, so thank you.
What was that number again? Just for for the clerk, I'm trying to help her out.
125,430,149.
I'll make that motion to approve that budget
I'll second it.
proposal.
Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. I just wanted to speak a little bit. I don't think that the majority of our, I think a significant cost change to the budget is in wages. But we know that inflation is at 12.5% in New Hampshire over last year. And I know this from working at the state. And so our wages and the raises that we're giving our people are 1/3 of what inflation has been for the last year. So even with these raises, people are still struggling. And I think when we look at enrollments across New Hampshire, part of that has to do with the fact that there isn't affordable housing here in New Hampshire. And that's affecting not just Nashua, but the entire state. And we're seeing gaps in being able to find people for jobs across all sectors. We see it in health, we see it in mental health, we see it in some of our tech fields that we have here in Nashua. We just can't find people because people can't afford to live here. And so I don't think it's fair to say that it's our contracts that are causing all this. I also just want to bring people's attention to some of the difference in costing in special education. We do a great job, I think, here in Nashua of identifying kids who need interventions and making sure that we are following the federal guidelines and state guidelines on who should be getting interventions, and we pay for those interventions. We also have special programs here that they don't have in some other towns, and so people send their kids here. But special education costs rise significantly year over year over year, more than inflation. And so I think we're doing a disservice to the taxpayers in Nashua if we don't highlight the fact that there are some costs that are completely out of our control that drive the cost of education in New Hampshire. And when you couple that to the fact that we get less from the state, it's a recipe for really taxing property owners in the state of New Hampshire. And I think that our budget does a good job of trying to navigate all of those waters.
Well, I'll let the record show that Ms. Brown came in at 6:14 p.m. I just want to add to that, basically, because the federal government never gave us the whole portion of under IDEA that they were supposed to give us. So they have still given us only a slight amount of money, which they were supposed to basically give us all. I understand what you're saying, Ms. Raymond, but there's many people in the city that did not get raises at all this year and living with their salaries that they had maybe a year or two ago that hasn't caught up with inflation. Unfortunately, it's not just here at the school district, but basically the city. About the whole budget is about 80 to 85%, which is salaries and benefits, because you have to have the workers to come in here. We have to have the teachers to educate our students, and you need them to work throughout the city. But with that said, I have a hard time justifying where enrollment is coming down and yet our costs keep rising. And yet we have projects here that we can't get done. Mm-hmm. And if we ask the city to help us with the capital improvement, well, that basically doesn't happen with capital improvement. And we have projects here, and that's why our schools fall apart, because we don't have the money to continue with that. We're building a gorgeous school. In 20 years, are we going to be at the point that we're going to have to tear it down because we don't have the maintenance money? So I just can't. And I know it's going to pass and it's going to go on to the Board of Aldermen. It's just the fact of life here. But I'm okay with it. So we have the motion on the floor. Could we repeat the motion because Ms. Brown is late?
Ms. Bishop made a motion to approve a budget of $125,435,149. And it was seconded by Ms. Oden. And
Proposed recommended budget.
I believe that it was a 3.1% increase.
3.09.
Yeah, the number is a little off. It's 125,430,149. Yeah.
430,149, okay. Mm-hmm. And it's a
It's 3.01%.
Thank you.
And I want to speak to Ms. Johnson and Ms. Raymond's point, which, I mean, they're both very valid points. At the helm of our ship is we have people who know how to prioritize the most important things in our district. And I think all of us come from households where we need to budget. I don't think any single one of us is just like, yeah, let's go buy some Cartier earrings because we feel like it. I mean, maybe you could, but I'll take a pair. But I think we have at the helm people who understand and recognize what the most important pieces of running a district are. And I think they're able to sit down and look at, what are the fringe things that we can put off for a couple of years, and what are the main things? Do we want to have everything paid for this year? Of course. But that's why we have experts who are making these decisions for us and have historically done well. And I think we can continue to put our trust into them and figure out how they're going to make ends meet with the shoestring budget that we're all living off of now, not just the district, but I think everybody's feeling it in their homes. But I just want to thank you guys for putting forward all the great work and saying again what Ms. Raymond said about the presentation of the budget. I know Dr. Andrade has said before that let's show the return on the investment that we're putting in. And I think it's a fantastic way to show us how we're using the funds that we're getting and not just showing the black and white and the boring of it. I think it paints a better picture for us lay people to understand how the school is doing. So.
Raymond?
I'm sorry, just on that point where you were talking about return on investment, I caught the end of the curriculum meeting last night, and I don't know if Ms. Brown remembers off the top of her head, but some of the statistics that Dr. Sarfty was giving about the ZERN program and how it's affected some of our elementary schools' reading, and was it literacy or reading scores?
So we've spoke about two different programs last night. The ZERN, which is a math program, and the Lexia, which is a reading program. The ZERN, we have a lot of really good data why this district should continue supporting it. Students that use ZERN more than 20 times per season, per cycle, end up scoring significantly higher. I can't show the numbers right off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me. And the Lexia is great because it gives real-time feedback to the teachers. From a financial standpoint, we are encouraged to continue using the ZERN program, and which is now we're paying for a K through 8 program, but starting next year, I think we're only going to go through a K through 5 because it's just not being utilized at the middle schools the same way it's at the elementaries.
Thank you. I think it was the Lexia. It was the data where she talked about one of our schools had practically doubled the number of students who are reading on grade level.
So, yeah, at the beginning of the year, I believe, there were some elementary schools that were in the 18% of students, 13, 18, 20% of students reading at grade level or what their level was supposed to be. The Lexia, when used properly at some of I believe 3 of the elementary schools more than doubled their reading comprehension for kids at grade level, getting up into like the 48% zone and on grade level. Not all across the board saw that kind of growth, but it does seem to be the teachers that are really latching onto it. It seems to be really successful.
Thanks.
Any other comments or concerns or questions?
None here.
With that said, all those in favor of voting for the budget, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Yes.
So the budget has been passed to go on to the Board of Aldermen now. And is there anything else, Ms. Lampier?
I'm sorry. I just was wondering if, can we do like a roll call just because I couldn't really, I wasn't sure who voted.
Johnson.
It was just Ms. Johnson?
Yeah, just
Okay.
me.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Ms. Oden.
Thank you. I would just like to thank Mr. Donovan, Dr. Andrade, and all our administrators for this. This is my 14th budget and my last.
That's what you said a year ago.
But it certainly was direct, concise, easy to follow, and it didn't weigh 15 pounds. So thank you for the great job you've done and for spending our money wisely. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for the presentation this year. This was great. It was short, concise. We knew exactly what you were aiming for. Unfortunately, I can't support the budget, but that's just me. You know, it is what it is. So I just want to thank you, and I think you're bringing a lot of vision to the district, Dr. Andre. And I'm glad. I really edify you out in the community. You know, I think he's doing a great job. So did you want to say something?
No, I appreciate the compliments, but we really have a strong team here. It's just, I'm fortunate to be surrounded by great leaders, a supportive board, and a really good community. So just happy I'm able to elicit the strengths that were really here and highlight it and be able to communicate it. So really thankful for Dan, Matt, Kimberly for really putting this all together. So I appreciate the compliments, but really this was a team effort.
And it is, but, you have to have a good leader to have the team work with you, because it has to be together as a team. Because if it's not, teamwork doesn't make the dream work. If you don't have that team, you can't have you have to have a team, the full team. But thank you. Anything else for this evening? No? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And second?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor of
Aye.
adjourning?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 6:24 PM, and this was a great budget hearing. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for showing up tonight.
Thank you. Now opening up the full Board of Education special meeting in regards to the budget. We just had our budget committee meeting, got a little ahead of ourselves and voted on the budget, so we're going to push it again into this meeting. Any further discussion on the presented budget from the district? Let me do roll call first, because we did that for the second time now. Ms. Lampier, can you please do the roll call?
Sure. Okay, this is, Ms. Darling is not here. Ms. Raymond?
Here.
Mr. Claffey?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here?
Ms. Oden?
Here.
I'm here. Ms. Johnson?
Present.
And Ms. Bishop?
Here.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we also have Dr. Andre, Mr. Donovan, and Mr. Posker.
Can I steal this paper again? I just want to write down the number. Okay, so the motion that went before in the last meeting, so I'm going to make it again. I move to approve the presented 2024 budget of $125,430,149, which is a 3.0% increase to be approved and sent to the Board of Aldermen.
Second?
3.01. What did I say? 3.1, sorry, 3.01. Anyway. Okay, so Ms. Oden seconded that. Any further discussion or questions? Please refer to the meeting that just happened beforehand for all the questions. All right, so on the motion to approve the budget to be sent to the Board of Aldermen, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
You're welcome.
Consistency is always key. We are now looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms.
Second.
Johnson. Thank you, Ms. Oden. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We are now adjourned at 6:31.